Good morning, everyone. It's 11 o'clock and it's time for Unity. At this time, Dan Comstock is going to do our opening song.
This is the prayer that was sung on Columbus's sailing ship. Of course, he had three. There was a big storm on the way to America, and everyone was afraid, and one of the cabin boys knew this evening canticle sung in the monasteries. It's called Salve Regina, and it's a prayer asking Mary to show them Jesus.
Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, et spes nostra salve. A te clamamus, exules filii Eve, a te suspiramus, gementes et flentes, in ac lacrimarum valle. Ea ergo advocata nostra, illos tuos misericordes oculos ad nos converte. Et Iesum benedictum fructum ventris tui, nobis pos hoc exilium ostende. O clemens, o pia, o dulcis Virgo Maria.
Thank you, Dan and Barclay. Barclay. Oh, I thought I mispronounced it. Okay. Well, good morning. My name is Jermaine Haberman, and I'd like to welcome you to Unity of Missoula. And with the change of the CDC guidelines, the board voted to relax our mask mandate, allowing everyone to attend to make the choice of whether they want to wear a mask or not. So let's honor one another by taking a few moments to acknowledge each other with waves and hugs. Now, as we move into the more formal part of our service, let's remember Unity of Missoula is a team ministry founded on the 5 basic principles of unity. God is all good and active in everything and everywhere. I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and what I believe. And through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I do and give my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. This is the time in the service when we share together the reading of the daily word from which is a bi-monthly meditation magazine published by Unity Worldwide Ministries. And the word for today is forgiveness. I began my journey of forgiveness. Unforgiveness is a heavy bag of rocks I carry on my shoulder. When I drop the bag and begin to set the rocks aside one by one, I embark upon a healing journey. God is with and within me on this journey as my constant support and strength. When forgiveness feels difficult, I need only return my attention to Spirit's constant, loving, and accepting presence within me. Reestablishing my conscious connection brings warmth. It is an important step in the unburdening process of forgiveness. I forgive others as well as myself. Knowing each act of forgiveness increases my freedom to live a happy and fulfilling life. And from Colossians chapter 3, verse 13, bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other, just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. There's a few things we'd like to tell you about this week, so here are our announcements. Next Sunday, our speaker will be Roger Harvey, and our May theme is Remembering Our Power, and May's power ability is power or mastery, and the color is purple, and the representatives are the disciples Philip and Miriam. Our online book group meets Mondays at noon, and they are reading Radical Compassion by Tara Brock. To get the link to the online group, please talk to Nancy Leifer. Our in-person Unity book group meets Tuesdays at 12:30, and they are reading Unity and World Religions by Paul John Roach. Our A Course in Miracles study group meets Wednesdays at 12:30. And on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m., we are holding a time of silent prayer and meditation for peace and support of the people of Ukraine and Russia. If you can attend, please take a few moments at that time and just sit, be still. We know prayers work miracles. And just a reminder, there will be a gathering of friends of Maggie Lowe in honor of her transition tomorrow, May 23rd, from 2 to 4 p.m. And there is no service planned, but an open house at her residence, Glengara Apartments. And to get the address, please just check with Linda Andrus. And thanks so much to those of you who continue to support our Unity community through your tithes and your love offerings. And there is a basket in the foyer for donations for those who are physically here, and you may also mail in your contribution at 546 South Avenue West. The church's 10% tithe this week will go to Family Promise of Missoula. Please hold them in your heart as I affirm our offering prayer. Divine love is the source of our bounty. Divine love, as us, blesses and multiplies all that we are and have, all that we give, and all that we receive. Let's affirm this together. Divine love is the source of our bounty. Divine love, as us, blesses and multiplies all that we are and have, all that we give, and all that we receive. Before we move on to the talk for this week, I will affirm Unity's primary affirmation and ask you to join me 2 more times. There is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Together, there is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And together again, there is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. In addition, here is our Missoula Unity affirmation. I will affirm it once and ask you to join me. We are Unity of Missoula. We are a radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. Together, we are Unity of Missoula. We are a radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. Commitment to pray every day for others at their request. If you have names of people to hold in prayer for a month, you may place them in their names in our prayer box located in the front of the podium here. Or call the church and leave a message with those names. And they will be sent out to our prayer circle for 30 days of prayer and then forwarded on to Silent Unity as well. For a moment as we hold all of them in our hearts. And you may also now say aloud or silently the names of those you wish to bring into this time of prayer. Dear God, we hold these friends and loved ones in our hearts. We behold their light as expressions of the indwelling Christ. We release them to your care and affirm divine order in their lives and in ours. Thank you, God. Amen. Okay, our speaker this week, Dan Comstock. And Dan is a director for the Center of Attitudinal Healing in the Arts. He's also a student of A Course in Miracles. And he's going to be singing with Barclay Nickel. And they've been together for 10 years. 10 years. And the name of their group is Rocky Shoals. Yeah, got it. Okay, you're up, Dan.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Let's close our eyes and feel where we're sitting, what we're leaning against. And as we feel ourselves sitting, we listen to the sounds around us. We feel the temperature of the air in the room. And as we're sitting here together, we place our attention on our feet. When we lift our attention to our legs, and we place our attention on our thighs, and we place our attention on our pelvic girdle. We lift our attention to our lower back. We lift our attention again to our upper back. And we place our attention on our shoulders. And we move our attention down to our arms. And then on down to our forearms. We place our attention on our hands. Now, following our arms, we lift our attention back up to our shoulders and into our shoulder girdle. And then to the back of our neck. We lift our attention to the back of our head and our ears. Then we place our attention on the top of our head. We move our attention down to our forehead and our eyebrows. Then we place our attention on our eyes. Then we move our attention out to our nose. Then into our cheeks. And then we place our attention on our lips, tongue, jaw, mouth. And we move our attention to the front of our neck, our throat. We move our attention on down to our chest. And finally, we place our attention on our abdomen, where we focus on our breathing. Now we place our attention on our heart space. And from our heart space, we send out a glowing light of greeting to everyone in the room, acknowledging their presence, offering our complete acceptance. And expressing our gratitude for their being here. Then we place our attention back on our breath. We feel ourselves in our bodies. We feel what we're sitting on and leaning against. We feel the air in the room and the sounds around us. And when we're ready, we open our eyes. I go get. Going to do things sort of backwards, you might expect. I will say that when I saw that the people in the Bible that were focused on were Miriam and Philip, I read too fast and I didn't notice the disciple Philip. So I started looking up Philip in the Bible. There are 4 of them. 2 of them are sons of Herod, one of which was in charge of an area for a while. The third one is an apostle who, an evangelist who worked with Paul. And the disciple, Philip, is the one disciple that Jesus called himself. And to me, as we're talking about remembering our personal power, why can we depend on that? Because we have a source, and our source calls us and knows us. And so Philip was the one that Jesus called. Philip went out and called Nathanael. And so he called himself. And in finding our own personal power, we're in this world, and sometimes things don't seem easy. Sometimes things get discouraging. So Philip was the one that told Jesus that there wasn't enough money to feed the 5,000. And Jesus, of course, did the miracle and showed Philip that he could feed the 5,000. And Philip stayed with Jesus. He let Jesus' miracle in. He let the fact that Jesus said, yes, I'll show you it's possible. Well, Miriam had the same kind of positive and then a negative experience. Miriam was the elder sister of both Moses and Aaron. And she was an integral part of the Israelites, nation of Israel, becoming a nation. And I'll say it this way. Since the Bible was written primarily by men, from very much of a masculine point of view, to have us have a picture of her as a child doing something for her brother, getting herself in trouble, and then traditionally providing water for the Israelites. It's really neat to see some life history about a woman in the Bible, because it's not that much. It wasn't part of their culture. It doesn't make it right, but it wasn't part of their culture to do that. When Moses was born, the decree from Pharaoh was to kill all of the Israelite children. And so the mother put him in the river, in the bulrushes, and then Miriam watched. And then when the daughter of Pharaoh came, Miriam ran up and said, I know a woman who basically could be a wet nurse and could take care of the baby, since you want that baby. And so she took Moses home to his mother. And even though he was raised as the daughter of Pharaoh, he was reared and nurtured by his own mother. And so Miriam, who the research says they think was probably about 8 years old or less, did that. Then when the Israelites left Egypt, Moses had married a Cushite woman, and so a different culture. And for some reason, Miriam bitched about her and was slapped with leprosy instantly, covered with her skin turned white. And Moses prayed to God, saying, "Oh, come on, let's not do this. Okay, let her live by herself for a week to get 7 days to get cleansed, and so Miriam was healed." She stayed with Israel, and the next thing we know is when she died. And Moses and Aaron and all of the Israelites died in the desert. They didn't make it to Canaan. The children did, but they didn't. And the tradition, the Hebrew tradition, is that there were the three blessings of the pillar of fire that led them in the desert, the manna that fed them, Miriam's well that gave them water, and when she died, the well dried up. And so what the tradition is, it's not in the Bible, but it's in the Hebrew tradition, of that she was the miraculous one that helped provide them with water. And I just think it is so cool because none of us are perfect on this plane and how we see ourselves. We know that we're perfect in God, but we have to experience that. We have to manifest that. It has to be something that we can experience. And so to have these two people, when we're talking about personal power, who stayed with it after mistakes. And because God knows us, God is our source, God is our all goodness. Makes total sense. And it's nice to hear the story. And I found that really fun. Didn't need to look up purple because purple represents royalty, and so if we're talking about our majesty, then we're talking about how God sees us and our reality. So I wanted to talk about grandeur versus grandiosity. And there's really neat stuff about that in the Course in Miracles. And I would like to read the famous reading from A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson that sometimes is attributed to Nelson Mandela's presidential speech, which it wasn't in. I've read that speech. I don't know how that happened, but Marianne Williamson. Our fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. A friend of mine is very concerned about money, and some things are just starting to move forward. And my friend said, "There's some hope building inside of me, and it makes me nervous." So we get these messages from the inside of us and from the outside of us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, Who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. Barkley and I, Friday, went to Hall School and performed for the first time since COVID. And it's a wonderful two-room school that I've mentioned many times before. I've taught there. And Barkley and I performed there almost every year for a long time. It was so cool because, well, I'll say, when we got in the car, Barkley, you said to me, the upper room kids were not as responsive as the lower room kids. Grades 5 through 8, they're not supposed to be as responsive. They're supposed to be cautious. There was none of this. Not a bit of that. And every one of them participated, and every one of them eventually smiled genuinely and were friendly. Those lower room kids, however, they wanted to do anything that we did. And because it's such a good school with two really excellent teachers, and they do everything together, they had a voice. It was so fun to be with children who felt safe and had a voice. That's not how I grew up. When my wife's daughter just really says no to her brothers, I go, that's what I used to, because we've been together for a long time, but oh my Lord. Those kids were shining, they were being themselves, and they filled the room. Well, when we really looked at the upper room kids, they were shining in their way and filling the room. But it was the obviousness and the extrovertedness of the kids was just amazing. We were born to make manifest start again. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. Well, when we saw the light in those kids and their willingness and their fun, and they were together doing it, and the teachers were being supportive, I call that God. Because to me, none of this makes sense if we can't actually experience it. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. I have to remember that with our politics today. It's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. So at the end, there was this little girl, and we had sung kid songs. We did the Home on the Range, and we'd done Six Little Ducks and stuff like that. And we were standing outside afterwards. It was the end of the day. He says, I bet you the next song you guys are going to sing is Dinah, won't you blow, Dinah, won't you blow, So we then joined her in singing that. She just said, yeah, I know what the next thing you're going to do is. As we let our own light shine, we had consciously give other people, she gave us, permission to start singing with her. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I'm so grateful for that. And in our attitude in the healing groups, one of the things that we remind ourselves often is, you can't do anything that's good for you that doesn't bless me. We might not know how, but we see it enough over and over again that it's not possible for you to love yourself without it and sending love to me. And I am very grateful. So we find our personal power to remember. This is talking about what you put in your mind. What are the thoughts you fill your mind with? And as a teacher, I have the opportunity to see students walk into my studio over and over again. My commitment is to provide a safe place for them to learn and for me to be the best teacher I can be. And the reason I can trust that is because every encounter is a holy encounter. I'm in the presence of a child of God who's coming to teach me just as much as I'm there to teach them. And if I'm all worried about my own crap, then I can't be present with them. Barclay just went and saw Hamilton. A few weeks earlier, I was also in Spokane seeing Wicked. To be in a live performance is an unbelievably different experience than watching it on TV or a movie, because you're there together. So if we take a second here, I got to get to chapter 9, section 8. I knew a man. He was a church elder and teacher, and his wife was also a teacher, who wouldn't tell their daughter that she was beautiful. Now, they didn't treat her in a nasty way at all, but they were afraid of giving her the message that she was beautiful, because then she would be full of pride. No, I think it shows that woman didn't like the fact that her husband, this is her telling it to me with my own ears, she didn't like the fact that her husband had a mustache, so in the middle of the night, she shaved off one side. True story. He was right there and admitted that it happened. Grandeur is of God and only of Him. Therefore, it is in you. So when we need to remember our own personal power, we're remembering who we are and that God has given us everything. I grew up being afraid of that, thinking that that was power over someone else. And grandiosity is what I was afraid I was heading toward. Never shares, never blesses. It always creates separation. I'm better than you. So as we take time to remember our power, we are remembering who we really are, that we come from a source that has given us everything, that because we have everything, we can give everything. And that doesn't mean that I don't get discouraged. Doesn't mean that sometimes I just don't feel like I have as much energy as I would like. But Linda and Tom knew me when I came here after not having gotten tenure at a university. And it took me all 7 years to get over that. That's the traditional 4 to 7 years to get over something really bad. And part of that learning was to stop being a victim, because of my violent relationship with my mom. I didn't understand that my value, my worth, was everything. Well, by the time I came here, I had gotten with Course in Miracles and Attitudinal Healing, and I was on my path, but I was still definitely in a wounded place. And the first understanding that came to me, I've mentioned this before, in terms of attitudinal healing or A Course in Miracles, my relationship to God was my starting point, not my begging point. So if I make mistakes, if I get down, I've had enough experience to know that I'm not separate from God. And that is so helpful for me. And how do we walk through that? In voice teaching, I teach from the body first and the sound second. That might sound really weird, except that I am my own instrument. And if I just try to make a sound without learning how to make that sound, then all I'm doing is copying something that's already in my brain that I don't know how to do. Got it here, okay. So I'm going to read a poem in a second. It is easy to distinguish grandeur from grandiosity because love is returned and pride is not. So if you're discovering your own power, remembering your own power, you're not better than anyone else. You are being who you are. And as Marianne Williamson pointed out, if you're being who you are, you're encouraging other people to be who they are. Can your grandeur be arrogant when God himself witnesses to it? So you're being truly wonderful, truly glorious, is who you really are directly from your source. And the idea never leaves its source. So if you believe you have a source, and I do, then I'm forever connected to that source because I come from that source. Okay, now, that's just a nice idea. No. If you're a parent, you never stop being a parent. A child comes from you, they always come from you. So it's nothing weird. It's not even special. It's just, well, of course, if I have a source, I can completely trust that I'm connected to my source no matter what. I can ignore it. I can do horrible things, but I can't change it. And so finding your own personal power is coming to yourself. You are altogether irreplaceable in the mind of God. No one else can fill your part in it, and while you leave your part of it empty, your eternal place merely waits for your return. I try to go off on my nightmare. It's only that I'm deciding to be asleep for a while. Your evaluation of yourself must be God's. In other words, if we have a source, you did not establish your value, and it needs no defense. Nothing can attack it, nor prevail over it. It does not vary. It merely is. And here's the part that has been really helpful to me, and we're going to share a song with you about it. Ask the Holy Spirit what it is, and he will tell you. But be not afraid of his answer, because it comes from God. Listen, and do not question what you hear, for God does not deceive. He would have you replace the ego's belief in littleness with his own exalted answer to what you are, so that you can cease to question it and know it for what it is. Before I connected with this stuff, I had, at least this was in high school, gotten the idea that the Holy Spirit can make a perfect plan in my life at every instant, no matter what mistake I make. Because it's God, it's our source, it's all-knowing. Okay, but how do I know that's true? My belief is we have to know, we have to experience on this plane in ways that make sense. Holy Spirit knows how to talk to us. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed.
You just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you've got a friend in me.
Yeah, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
You've got a friend in me.
You got troubles.
I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you.
We stick together, we can see it through, 'cause you've got a friend in me.
Yes, you've got a friend in me. Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am.
Bigger, stronger too.
Maybe.
But none of them would ever love you the way I do.
It's me and you, boys. And as the years go by,
Our friendship will never die.
we're gonna see it's our destiny. You've got a friend in me.
You've got a friend in me.
Yeah, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. Thank you. I'm sure grateful that our relationship to each other and God and eternity and our source is all practical. It's all real. We have ways of doing it. We have ways of experiencing it. Notice that we're saying that we're doing it together. Yeah, I have to be a friend to him. He has to be a friend to me. We all have to make our own choices. And I love that mystery that on this plane we perceive ourselves as separate. So on this plane, we all have to make our own choices. We have to pay our bills. We have to, work out problems, all that stuff. But we ain't alone. And it feels that way sometimes. But if you look for it, it's not. And we're going to sing a song that's a sea shanty. And we're going to teach you your part. And then I'm going to ask a bunch of you to come up and help us. Right. And we'll show you what's going to happen, so you'll know. Okay. On the sailing ships, there was no electricity, so everything had to be done by hand. And we're going to sing a pump shanty. All of the sailing ships, the wooden sailing ships, leaked. And they leaked on purpose so that the water on the bottom would be ballast. But eventually you had to pump it out. Particularly if you were in port and you're going to stay there for a while, you needed to let it get dry. And you can imagine that pumping could take a long time. So sea shanties provided ways for people to continue working for a long time while they're working together and they have some energy, some interest. One of the things that we do is Boney was a warrior. It's a wonderful sea shanty about Napoleon. And this one is about a ship called Amelia. And we have a shanty man, and then the crew has 2 answers. But the entire time, we're pumping the water. And so here's the beginning of it, and I'll show you what your part is.
Oh, the times are hard and the wages low.
Amelia, where you bound to?
The Rocky Mountains is my home.
Far across the western ocean. Those are the 2 parts. So here's another verse.
It's land of plenty, there you'll
Here we go.
see.
Amelia, where you bound to?
I'm bound across that western sea.
Far across the western ocean. We'll do one more, then we'll set up the pump.
To Liverpool I'll make my way.
Amelia, where you bound to?
To Liverpool, that Yankee school.
Far across the western ocean. Okay, so I need at least 4 people on this side and 4 people on this side. Okay, so come up here. I'm the pump. Okay, and you come up and you grab a hold. No, not each other. Grab a hold of me here.
Oh, grab a hold of you.
Mhm.
We gotta grab a hold of him.
Okay.
Come over and grab a hold of me.
We gotta grab a hold of
Come
him.
up, I'm on my arm. Come on. Over.
We got a
Come
hold on
over
here.
this way. Grab a hold of me.
He's the pump. He's
I'm the pump. Hey.
Okay, here we go.
Good.
He's
Yeah,
the
good.
pump.
Yeah. And so it's going to be like this.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, don't be scared.
Oh, the times are hard and the wages low.
Amelia, where you bound to?
The Rocky Mountains is my home.
Far across the western ocean.
It's land of plenty, there you'll see.
Amelia, where you bound to?
I'm bound across that western sea.
Far across the western ocean.
To Liverpool I'll make my way.
Amelia, where you bound to?
To Liverpool, that Yankee school.
Far across the western ocean.
There's Liverpool cat with his tarpaulin hat.
Amelia, where you bound to?
And Yankee John, that packet rat.
Far across the western ocean.
Beware those packet ships of prey.
Amelia, where you bound to?
They'll steal your stores and clothes away.
Far across the western ocean.
Wives and sweethearts, don't you cry.
Amelia, where you bound to?
Sons and daughters, wave goodbye.
Far across the western ocean. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. They'd be doing that for hours. Those ships can be really big with lots of water in them. So you needed songs to keep you together and to keep you moving forward. Exactly right. Yes, absolutely. Same with hoisting the anchor. Hours, because of how far it was. Yeah. And so we all have our part to do. Moses' eldest son, Reuben, it says very directly, you're the eldest and you have the most responsibility, and you have the most power. In other words, he was saying, okay, there's a role that has to be the eldest. So every one of us has our place in the universe that no one else can fill. So when you remember that you have your own personal power, you're not only finding out how you're supposed to operate, what you're supposed to say, what you should be doing, you're remembering that you have a place and that you're supposed to be here. You belong here. You belong doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it gives us hope. And we're going to finish with another song, and it's that because we know who we are, because we know that all things are possible, we are not going to give up hope when things seem terrible. And so Barclay turned me on to a song called One Day. It's a beautiful song, and it's a perfect song for what's going on around the world. And it's not just in Ukraine. There are other countries having the same kind of crap. But if we know what the truth is, and the truth is within us, within ourselves, and the truth is within you, having hope and then working for that hope honors who we are. And so we do have things we're supposed to do, but all in the honor of our reality, each of our realities. Let me get my guitar. And I'd like to thank Jeff for working with us on us. I was saying, he always keeps me above water when I get here with his sound stuff. And now we get to make music together. That makes me very happy. Come on up here. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down.
So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. Yes, sing with us, please. Yes. One day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose. We all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving till the water stays raging. In this maze you can lose your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it phase you, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. One day this all will change. treat people the same. Stop with the violence, down with the hate. One day they'll all be free. I'm proud to be under the same sun, singing songs of freedom. Like
Way-oh,
one day, one day,
way-oh,
one day. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, 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 one day.
Thank you very much.
That's okay. You thought you were done.
Okay.
So we do our prayer for protection, and
that's
then we do
right,
the
yes.
peace song, then you have a benediction.
Yes, right, yes.
Okay.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. So let's get together in our circle. So bring it on. Yeah, we're small enough that we sort of need to go into the middle of the room. Come, let Tom and Linda be part of the circle here. There we go. Wait. Oh, that's okay. Well, that's fine. I didn't mean you. Yeah, I meant these over here. That's okay. Good. Jeff, fire away.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
As you find your own power, as you give it and see it in each other, you can know that you are not alone. You can take whatever steps you are to take, and it's going to be so easy then to just have fun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Makes singing easy. Don't feel comfortable singing, right?